Our northern lands are occupied. Oh, we have a blue Portugal and a blue Ireland, and I think they're making references to their neighbors. Let us take back what is ours. Ireland looking to get back Northern Ireland and then unifying. And then Portugal getting Galicia, forming Mega Portugal. This is a universe where Portugal and Ireland become best bros. They both have a bigger neighbor that they don't really like too much. This does make me curious, what is the Portuguese-Irish relationship even like? I mean, we all already know about the great loving relationship that Portugal has with the United Kingdom. They've always been an ally. Their alliance is actually a little bit strange even at times. Oh, anti-panhandle, that's a new one. A universe where major European land formations are combined with Africa, or sometimes replacing parts of Africa in the case of Madagascar and I guess Great Britain. We have the Italian peninsula and the Danish peninsula jolting out of East Africa, or the Horn of Africa. Why is Crimea here too? Throw Greece and Brittany, France up here in the north. Yes, the Hungarian plains. Oh, there's no like massive Sahara Desert, is there? Or maybe it's just down here. Oh yeah, it's in the Turkish peninsula and the Iberian Peninsula. I like how you can honestly barely tell this is Ireland. This just looks like a part of Africa. We also have the Finnish plains and Scandinavia out in the west coast. Did they bring the mountains too? It looks like they might have brought the mountains. So this is probably going to be a much more elevated or jaggedy African continent. Africa is relatively flat, if I remember correctly. I'm also getting like Middle Earth vibes. Why do I feel like there would probably be elves in this universe? Like how there's just no lore. He refused to elaborate further. This is Cosmopolis, or the capital of all of Earth. Interesting that we put this in, it looks like Bangladesh, and this clearly has to be like a man-made island. Did we do it in Bangladesh because Bangladesh got like flooded? Melting ice caps is probably not going to be very good for this country. Oh, and then we have the Universal Congress right next to it and Eden Park. If we were to do some massive capital of Earth where like the most important people all go to one area, it feels like you'd want to keep this place a secret. And I think putting it in some random deserted island, maybe possibly in the middle of the Pacific, would also be kind of safer. They put it there because it's the population center of the world. I wouldn't have guessed that. 6 ways to divide Colombia, or a very different Colombia. The name Colombia, derived from the explorer Christopher Columbus, was used during the American Revolution era as a patriotic reference. And this is a universe where the UK is more successful in the Revolutionary War, leading to a smaller USA. So this is why there is no Florida. There still was a Louisiana Purchase, but as you can see, the Dominion of Canada stole away the Cascadia states. We have no Oregon or Washington. Also, we might have gotten our independence, but maybe we lost stuff. So there is no New England or New York. I don't know if we lost that during the independence or maybe during 1812. So obviously in a world like this, the languages are going to be very interesting. Of course, the Louisiana Purchase is still going to be French. I feel like there'd be a lot more Spanish over here though. There's also German and Dutch even. The politics of it all, there is the Red Labor Party and the Whig. Oh, we're using some old school. We're using some like British naming here, aren't we? Is this some sort of like French independent movement? It looks like a majority of the country is split between Catholics and Protestants, but there are a couple outliers in the corners here. Is it Colombian? Mostly, yes, loyal and patriotic, but the blue might have other loyalties. So this is like the equivalent of our Quebec. Does it hate the British though? That is one thing that this universe is very united on. In a world where the British bullied us a lot more and took a lot more land, I think that's safe to say anti-British sentiment would probably be at a higher level. The disunited States of America in 2052. So basically the lore here is the US has obviously been divided up. A lot of successions have happened. China helped a lot with getting Hawaii and Alaska their freedom. Oh, there's even a current civil war taking place that might go nuclear. So first of all, we have my home state as the United States of America, or Oliver Presidency. The Pacific states didn't just take Pacific states only though. They got a large chunk of Nevada and a lot of Arizona as well. I already like this scenario a lot because these new countries don't just like follow state lines. Like they actually drew new borders. Well, besides Colorado and New Mexico, but there's probably a reason for that. So what are these like little revolutions going on? It seems like, oh, so this is part of the actual United States or this presidency. So Colorado is facing a major rebellion inside of it. There's also a Scientology zone in New Mexico. There's a Christian defense militia and this army. This is definitely already giving me a lot of Fallout vibes if that wasn't obvious. So the red is just going to be like random uprisings. They might not necessarily support the old US. Oh, look at this Sioux Lakota Liberation Army, and they kind of got zones all over the place. place? Are these allies or are they part of the same nation? State of the Superior. Oh, so Superior has become maybe its own thing. Maybe they're going to get all the coastal area that borders Lake Superior. Of course, Chicago is going to be hard to control. This is actually the state of Chicago. If anyone is going to be a city-state, Chicago makes sense. Christian Israelite army here in Mississippi? Oh, there's a whole bunch of chaos happening in the deep south. Even though they still have a large chunk of the territory, seems like this U.S. is still fighting a ton of rebellions. I just now realized this is called the Coalition of Mormon Corridor. This is really a U.S. like very split on faith lines. And of course, there is New England or the United States with the Salgado presidency. And they've reached way down into the south too. Normally, so often there's just like a very clear New England that became independent, but I like how like different these borders are. At the end of the day, this giant blue nation still has Texas, Florida, and Illinois. There's still a lot of population. It could probably rip through these two and eventually probably get over here. Speaking of presidential elections, here's a universe where the former U.S. President Jimmy Carter wins every election he ever runs in. So obviously, historically, whatever took place in 1976 still takes place now. This time he goes up against Ronald Reagan, though, in 1980 and wins, well, it's pretty close, actually. Oh, wow, he doesn't win the popular vote, but he wins the Electoral College. Mostly the eastern side of the country is really voting for him. Then we have the 1984 U.S. elections. This time he goes up against Ronald Reagan again and beats him even better, this time winning the popular vote and more of a landslide Electoral College. So at this point, this would be his third term, so he's pretty much already like FDR. He's decided he's just going to run for a third term. Electoral College looks something like this. Now George H.W. Bush takes a shot at it in 1988, but still doesn't come out on top. Slightly closer electoral vote, and the states are changing a bit. 1992, and they got to throw out some different Republicans now. Pat Buchanan, and it's just an overwhelming landslide. This would be his fifth term, so this is like the longest sitting president. Is that right? Remember, Jimmy Carter is 97 years old, so he's going to keep on winning here. 1996, he faces off against Oliver North and an independent candidate. Does the third party here kind of like make this guy lose? Is that what this is trying to say? We have the 2000 election. He's going up against Jack Kemp and then Gary Johnson. Whoa, Gary Johnson actually got 20% of the vote. What? 2004 against Mike Huckabee once again. He's going to keep on winning. He's 97. 2008, he's versus Ron Paul. Remember, he's the Democratic candidate, so there's only Republicans that can join against him. Oh, well, I guess there's starting to be like more and more third and fourth parties. Oh, look at that. More states have decided to vote, and they've changed their electoral system a bit. Who does that currently? Nebraska, but now different Mississippi, Iowa, Utah is splitting the vote a little bit. I love that the pictures are accurate, like they go along with his age. Here's in 2012. Oh, no more like third-party candidates, I guess. 2016 against Mitt Romney. He still won that popular vote. And then finally in 2020, he's going up against Tucker Carlson and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Dwayne only getting 10 million votes? Come on now. Is this a universe where Fast and Furious didn't come out? If Fast and Furious came out, he gonna win. This is just a very interesting scenario because technically, because he's lived for so long, I guess this could have happened. A universe where the United States goes out with a whimper, not a bang. Population is currently 121,000. This is like the Byzantium fall, but for the United States. Years have just gone by and we just slowly collapse until, yeah, they're at the gates, the Canadians. Yeah, because I'm definitely getting the like fall of Rome vibes. The U.S. probably like split off into like an Eastern U.S. and a Western U.S. So the Ottoman Empire has to pretty much be Canada. I think I'm right about that. We only have 9,000 people enlisted in our military. Yeah, over the centuries, internal and external crises slowly chipped away at U.S. state global power, basically. We only remain on a small strip of Alaska, which is partly why there's only like 100,000 people living here. A universe where Saudi Arabia is partitioned. Or speaking of the Ottomans, they become like the Ottomans, I guess. So for the most part, the surrounding nations look about the same. Egypt, Sudan, I mean, Eritrea is big. We still have the Islamic Republic of Iran. Is that their actual name? Oh, it is. That is actually their full name. I didn't know that. Also called Persia. I heard you're not supposed to refer to Iran as Persia, though. That's what you guys tell me. So some of the land is going to be given to already existing nations like Iraq and Greater Jordan. Then we have Shamar here and the return of a couple of older nations. Oh, Yemen's going to get a big old chunk out of it. So is Oman and the Federation of the Gulf. Whoa. What is this circle nation? I've never seen anyone draw like a perfectly circle nation. Now, who's going to get all the population? Because the Arabian Peninsula has very interesting population density. I mean, Arabia, it's a giant desert, so that's just how things are. Yeah, most of the people living here are just in like 3 locations. Next to the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf, and then like right here in the center. I actually don't look too often at population maps of Saudi Arabia. I just knew it looked something like this. Any like desert country is going to have something similar. So maybe I've never seen this before. I just took a guess. A lot of people down here in Yemen though. Oh, saw. Both China and America control Round Arabia. I want Round Arabia now. What if the frogs in my backyard pond formed a nation and went to war with each other? This is called the War of the Northern Bank. This is the Northern Bank. And we have the Empire of Toads in the north. There's also bullfrogs and green frogs. Which side is being led by Pepe? Cope's territory. Man, frogs are so cool. I was outside and saw a bullfrog trying to eat a toad. I later learned that toads are poisonous, so the frog probably would have died. Uh-oh. Is this war even able to be won, or is it going to be just deadly for both sides? I didn't know that they could be at war with each other. Maybe they've always been at war with each other. Have you ever thought about how many animal species are pretty much at war with each other? There's pretty much nothing but war going on. They've never had peace. I love when people come up with random maps and histories for like some really small event that they've seen in their backyard, or like in Club Penguin. The Vietnam War, except it's the Republic of China that is invading a communist Vietnam. And look at this, we have the US helping communist Vietnam. So we allowed Vietnam to go communist, but we thought that China was maybe a bigger fish to fry. They're trying to aid the Republic of Vietnam. Wait, is China trying to... Wait. Oh, China went democratic. Mao Zedong did not win in this universe, so China doesn't want communism as a border. Is the US communist in this scenario? I'm wondering why. I guess we just don't like China. Yeah, so that's how I figured it out. Like, this is the Taiwan flag. So if China is trying to rid communism from Asia, then it's safe to say North Korea is probably not existing in this universe. Yeah, and China actually did invade Vietnam in 1979, but that's a whole other scenario. Someone made a Google Maps page of the US in 2100, and immediately Florida is no more. But not only that, a lot of the East Coast is no more. Delaware is pretty much no more, and a lot of coastline in general is gone. Louisiana is now just completely underwater. I'm surprised we don't have like a Lake California here. Did California eat Nevada? It looks like they did. Wait, California has Baja now, don't they? I think they did unite. We finally have Baja. Oh, also the Great Lakes are drying up, so that is going to give even more territory. Okay, you know what? In this universe, Michigan, you can keep the up. You can keep the Upper Peninsula. It makes a bit kind of more sense now, kind of. It still doesn't look great, but you can't really argue Wisconsin can have it. Oh, we actually formed a new city out of the evaporation. Is that what's happening? Oh, finally, we just formed New England too. Yeah, this should really just be its own state, New England. Oh, I didn't realize the biggest thing here is that we now have new interstate highways. That's what makes this really impressive, is the future of the infrastructure here. And a lot of these interstates are actually planned or even under construction right now. This is really great. Don't let Soldier Chan cry. Don't let the Reds march on our home. Wait a second. Buy Eek bonds today? What is this? We have a Japanese-controlled Korean peninsula and China, and it looks like the Mongol military outpost is invading, as well as the Far East military outpost. What is this? Is this the Soviet Union invading an Imperial Japan, and they're using anime tactics as propaganda posters? Oh my god. Oh, I didn't even notice the soy jack pose right there. This is brilliant. Speaking of why did you make this, we have the Hungarian Missile Crisis, or basically a universe where Hungary is for some reason Cuba. It looks like Hungary is actually a lot closer to the state of Florida, which might make things a little scarier. So this is a plan that the Soviets have, using Hungary as a jumping off point to nuke America, possibly. They can obviously get to LA, Seattle, Denver. Why are they nuking Mexico City too? Was that a plan, the Soviets? They were just gonna nuke Mexico randomly? Seems kind of messed up. Now I'm trying to imagine a Hungarian Fidel Castro. What would that even be like? Complete Chad energy. No one asked for this, but you gave it to him anyways. Citizens of Ohio, would you accept this, where Ohio gets divided? A lot of it goes to Michigan, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana. Well, hey, at least you get to keep Columbus. It would be the same, which was forced upon New Jersey. Why should New Jersey give up territory to Delaware, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and New York? What's the point of dividing New Jersey this much? You might as well just give it all to somebody. So this is based off of a really popular real-life propaganda poster, except this time we're talking about dividing up states. This is also pretty random, like Ohio and New Jersey. Does New Jersey need Ohio's help in this alliance? Are they trying to ally, and is Ohio maybe going to go after Pennsylvania? Why do I feel like Pennsylvania is the one that's really doing this to New Jersey? Actually, New York could have done it as well. Oh boy, the People's Republic of China's special operation in Taiwan. And this is exactly exactly in the style of the maps showing us the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So this is not scary at all. So as you can see, they're obviously landing from the west and they're moving in through the coastlines. Now, I believe that Taiwan has a lot of mountains over here, right? This area is kind of somewhat flat. This might be where things get tough if a lot of their population goes into these hills. And then I'm assuming they would probably have European and American support, possibly. Yeah, they're sieging out Taipei in the north. And then obviously they have a couple of these coastal cities. They've encircled a few cities as well. So they are using these same Russian special military tactics, I guess. Oh, apparently this is if Ukraine and Taiwan switch timelines. I see. So instead of Russia invading, this is China invading Taiwan. A special military operation to de-Japan Taiwan. Unfortunately, I do not think Taiwan has the same amount of power here. It looks like they probably wouldn't last very long in this scenario.
And big thanks to, by saying this, I agree to be a sussy bucka
LuxembourgLover,
Drew's Argentinian
Fat
grandpa,
Nuts,
Alex Whitley is Mega Chad,
Alfonso M6,
aPhatNarwhal,
Angel Bisono,
Barnsky W,
Bringbackpolandball,
XD,
Jocko,
Majestic Unicorn,
Marco,
Max
Hindera,
Cooper,
Mimoshiki,
Ortin5610,
Philipp RF,
Robert E,
RyeThePie,
the Mexican 760,
Why am I doing this?
William the Conqueror.
Thank you.